Hey there, and welcome back to Viewpoint Christian Academy for another Monday Moments. At Viewpoint, we have been empowering parents for Christian education since 1984 through our biblical, individualized, and mastery-based approach. This is our 52nd Monday Moments episode. That's right, for a full year, we have been bringing you weekly encouragement, inspiration, interviews in regards to academics and Christian education. And you know what? We have not run out of things to talk about. There are so many things to talk about in regards to Christian education, what the Lord is doing, and to help encourage you and motivate you for such a vital and important thing as bringing your children the discipleship and the education that they need to be what God wants them to be, for you to do what God has called you to do as their parent. So, stay tuned on this Monday Moment as we, for the 52nd time, discuss more things about Christian education. Today, we're going to discuss the importance of accuracy in a mastery-based approach. Stay tuned. Accuracy. It cannot be overemphasized. It is vital and it is necessary for the work that students do to be accurate. To be accurate. Why? Well, mainly because we want them to learn the right things, not the wrong things. How many of you can point back to an experience in your life where you thought you learned something that was correct, only to find out later that for all these years, you had been in the wrong because you had learned it incorrect. You had maybe pronounced a word incorrect and thought, went all your life saying it this way, and then you realized, oh, because I didn't learn it as a young person and at a young age, it just something that I learned and it just stuck with me. Because it's easier to learn something new than it is to unlearn something that you have already become accustomed to or thought you had done. So it's important for accuracy to be a central part of the work that a child does. The work that a child does needs to be accurate. At Viewpoint, you know that we follow a mastery-based approach. It's individualized and mastery-based, and we don't settle for D's. We don't even settle for C's, right? We want at least a B. 80% is our mastery threshold, right? And so when a child works their way through a unit and completes that unit, in order for us to consider that unit as completed and passed, they must meet that minimum threshold of at least 80%. If they get below the 80%, then we are recognizing that they didn't quite get the learning that needed to take place. And the accuracy that was required was not there. And so therefore, accuracy is very important. In fact, it is a key it's really a key component of the mastery-based learning model. Because mastery should not just be determined when they take a test at the end of a unit. Okay, did they learn 80%? Did they? No, accuracy, mastery is something that needs to be demonstrated every day. Every assignment, every page, every section of work that is done needs to be done accurately, correctly, so that they can demonstrate mastery on a daily basis. If they demonstrate mastery on a daily basis, then it will be much more consistent and much easier to demonstrate mastery on the unit basis. And so therefore, every day, whether they're in the paper booklets, and every day things need to be scored. Was the work done accurately? Is it correct? Did they learn what they were supposed to learn and demonstrate that knowledge through the assigned problems, questions, etc. that were there? If they're incorrect, then they need to be what? They need to be corrected. Now, maybe you grow up in a school or in a program that when you submitted assignments, it was corrected and sent back to you, and you just had something marked as wrong. You might not have known if it was right or not. All you knew is it was wrong. And in our system, we try to not just do that. We want to make sure, especially within the daily work that's being done, right, within the assignments that are being completed, we want to make sure that they are done accurately and correctly, so that if they're wrong, if something is marked as incorrect, then you just don't say, oh, well, I got that wrong. No, you go back and you what? You fix it. You fix it until you get, in a lesson in our Ignition program, you have to get 100% on every lesson. That means that you need to correct it, right? And you're going to demonstrate that mastery every day in every assignment. If it's a quiz, 80% or better, right? You're going to demonstrate the accuracy that is required. And you're going to keep at it until you get the accuracy. If it's in a paper curriculum, you're going to score the questions that are there and mark them with an X, a red X if they're incorrect. And then what? Not just say, oh, well, I got that wrong. No, you go back and you fix it. And after it's been fixed, you go back and say, is it correct now? Yes. Okay, it's correct. You circle it, you're good to go. But you don't keep moving on until you've corrected everything from that day's assignments, right? So you're showing the accuracy and the mastery every day and in all of the assignments and on all of the pages. Now, our curriculum is organized in such a way that you progress through daily mastery. Progress occurs through a daily mastery component. So it's not just, again, it's not just mastery at the end when I take the test. It's mastery every day. So as you're working your way through each lesson, each assignment, the quiz, or whether it's the pages, whatever you're doing, it's reading, etc., you're mastering every day. Not just at the test at the end, but every day. And that makes it possible for you to demonstrate mastery on that final unit test much more efficiently, much more effectively. Now, errors and corrections actually strengthen accurate learning. When you mark it wrong, say, oh, that was wrong. I thought that's the way it was. We're correcting that thought process that is errant, that is incorrect right away, so that it doesn't stay there and lodge there and become habit. And because again, it's easier to learn something new than to unlearn something you've been thinking was correct all your life. So right away, if you need to correct it, you correct it so that it reinforces correct learning, right? Mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are not failures. They're mastery mechanics. That's what they are. Mistakes are not failures. They're mastery mechanics. And what do? They course correct us. They keep us from going astray with inaccurate information and getting us back on track and say, oh, this is the way it is. This is key, especially in things like math, right? If you don't demonstrate mastery and accuracy in one key concept of math, the next concept is going to build upon that, whether it's fractions or divisions or decimals or multiplication or addition, subtraction, borrowing, whatever it might be. You have to demonstrate accuracy, and if you don't demonstrate that accuracy, it's going to cause problems that will create gaps, and we don't want gaps in learning. We want good, smooth foundation and building in the learning process. So again, mistakes are not failures. They're mastery mechanics to help us course correct. And even when a test indicates a below the mastery threshold score, it's not a failure. Okay, you didn't get the 80% or better that you needed when you finished off that unit. You know, whether it's weighted in your Ignition units or it's just the the flat out test score in the paper curriculum. You didn't get that 80% or better. That's not a failure. That's not a failure. It's an indicator of the need to strengthen mastery. And so you don't move on. You don't progress until you go back and demonstrate that mastery. And again, a key concept is you go back through, review the material, and demonstrate accuracy. Once again, go back and find out the things that you might need to strengthen, the things that you might need to course correct, and you get it done. All right? Now, so making mistakes in your daily work is not a problem. In Ignition, you get 3 attempts on a lesson before it's blocked, and then you have to put a teacher request in to get it unlocked, right? So you can try it again. But you need to do that. Immediately say, oh, I need to try this again. And that's okay. We're not sitting there thinking, oh, we're not counting, oh, we're on 4 attempts now. Oh, we're on 5 attempts. Teachers aren't doing that. No, they're doing that, and they're going to help you, and they're probably going to send you a note, and they may put like a teacher note in the lesson or something like that, right? If you're doing it with the paper curriculum, you got the score key there, you need to keep at it. Even if you have to go back 3 or 4 or 5 times, it doesn't matter. Whatever it takes, master that material and be accurate. It is so, so important. Again, it's not an indication of failure. It's an indication that you need to strengthen mastery. But excessive errors can point out some issues. What are some issues that excessive errors might indicate? Well, it's going to indicate poor habits. And here's a few. Here's my top 4 bad habits that excessive errors might occur. Now again, 3 or 4 or 5 times you had to, because you had one question that you were really struggling with. Maybe it was a matching or a multiple choice or something. Okay, we understand that, right? But when you get above 4 or 5 into the 10s or the 20s, that's too many errors. There's too many, that is too many errors, and that doesn't indicate a problem with the program. It indicates a problem with your procedure. It indicates a problem with what the student is doing. And so mom and dad need to help hold the child accountable to make sure that they're following proper procedure and doing these things, because these are 4 things that will result in excessive errors. Number 1, not reading the directions carefully. If they don't read the directions carefully, oftentimes they'll just put in an answer that they thought, they'll start, reading the first 4 words. I think I know what they want me to do. And they put an answer. Well, but if they had read through the whole question, they would realize, and oftentimes they'll catch it after the first attempt. Well, why was that wrong? And they read the whole question. I get it. But if they continue to ignore that and just assume that they understood and read those directions carefully, then they'll keep getting it wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong. And that's no good. So, and sure, sometimes if you're struggling with a question, the best thing you can do is say, read the directions out loud to me. I cannot tell you the number of students that I have said, they said, I don't understand this. I keep getting this wrong. I don't know what's going on. Read the directions to me. And as they read the directions out loud to me over and over again, this would happen. They would go, okay, I get it. I don't need you anymore. Because they knew, because they carefully read the directions. And that's probably the number 1 thing, not reading directions carefully. Make sure they are reading their directions carefully. Number 2, not reading the lesson material. Not reading it, just looking for answers. Jumping to the questions and then scanning the material to find an answer. It is so important that before they answer the questions, they thoroughly read all of the material. Now, if they're younger, 2nd grade, 1st grade, 3rd grade, and they're struggling with their reading, for everybody in 1st grade needs to read every page out loud. That's just kind of the way it is. They're developing readers. They have to read it out loud. They need that. But let's say 2nd, 3rd grade, maybe even some 4th grade students, they're struggling with this concept. You might have to have them read it aloud. You may have to take turns with them because they may be a struggling reader and they may need to read one paragraph, you read another paragraph. Now, some of the readers, they can do it just fine, but you need to ensure that they're doing it. Check on them. Hold them accountable. Are you reading? Are you reading everything? That's really, really key and super important. Not reading the lesson material all the way through. That's another error. That's another poor habit that can cause excessive errors because it's almost like you're just guessing in some ways. You're just kind of, I see that word. Okay, I'm going to go with that for this answer. When if you had read the whole thing thoroughly and got the context and all, it would have become more clear to answer the questions that were there. So number 2, not reading the lesson materials. How about number 3? In our Ignition system, one of the biggest reasons for excessive errors is students not reading the help notes that we send or the teacher notes that we leave in the lesson. We can leave red teacher notes in the lessons anywhere, and we can leave help notes on every question. We send help notes sometimes that actually we say, this is the answer and this is why. We actually give the answer to the student, and yet they'll continue to submit it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times after that. And we know, well, they're obviously not reading our messages. So it's so important that the student read every help message, every message that we send to the students, every message that a teacher sends off to them, they need to read it. And they need to take heed to it and follow the directions that are given in those help notes. So that's another reason, not reading the teacher's notes and messages. And number 4, this one is subject specific, but number 4, in math, not working problems out on separate paper. Not working it all out, step by step. That will lead to excessive errors. You're not going to make it correct. If for instance, if they have a question and the question is and it's a multiple choice, if instead of working out they just guess, it's going to lead to excessive errors. So it's important that they work out the problems on separate paper. So again, 4 poor habits that you want to avoid: not reading the directions carefully, not reading all the lesson material, not reading the teacher's notes and messages, and not working math problems out on separate paper. If you do If you avoid those 4 bad habits, it's going to increase your accuracy. If you notice that your child is getting things, having to redo quizzes over and over, or there are particular questions that they just keep having to answer over and over and over, they're not progressing along the way that they should be. It doesn't seem from one lesson to the next because they keep having to go back and answer the same questions over and over. More than likely, it comes down to these 4 bad habits, and help them to discipline themselves to avoid those poor habits and do what they need to do and follow the proper procedures and the proper steps. Accuracy. Accuracy in the student work is a key component of mastery-based learning. Daily accuracy produces overall mastery in learning. Hey, Viewpoint Christian Academy is here to help you and anyone you know that wants to provide a good godly Christian education that develops a solid biblical worldview into their lives. We are here to help. We want to help you. Contact us. Let us do what we can to help you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, like it, do all of that good stuff, and we'll see you next time for another Monday Moment. God bless you. Have a great week.